You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is episode number 17. Steven wrote in. He's got a question about letting his partner know that he's ready to quit his job. We're going to be talking about how to get your partner on board with your entrepreneurial endeavors. That's coming up on this episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money. Work less and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
David, I was so excited yesterday. I went to the farmer's market and the Tortilla Lady was there.
Yeah, I saw her once.
Yep, fresh homemade corn tortillas. And I had to buy them.
She was out when I saw her. She'd sold out for the day. Yeah, I got there like an hour after they started and no more.
So she had her corn tortillas, and I did something for the first time, which you remember because it was yesterday, but I made enchiladas. Haven't done that ever.
Yeah, the Tortilla Lady would be very proud, I think.
I know. Who hasn't made enchiladas?
I haven't.
Oh, well, you don't make anything. I was so proud of I cook all the time, and I was so proud that this was like the first time I'd made enchiladas.
Yeah, you did a good job. Had the Vitamix going out to make the sauce.
I know. I was so thrilled. I was like a little kid. I was like, look what I made, David.
The rice, it wasn't like plain brown rice. It was some kind of Mexican rice.
Yeah, I made my own Mexican rice. I made my own enchilada sauce. I even refried my own beans.
Yeah.
Like they didn't come out of a can, and I was like, this is so exciting.
Laurel Staples does not just get things out of cans and microwave them. She starts from scratch.
That's you. You're like a man, a can, and a plant.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
you.
But you're out there like harvesting the corn, stomping on it, grinding it, making it into a tortilla. But we had the Tortilla Lady for that.
Yeah, she did half the work. I just kind of made the sauce and.
Well, I'm glad you got there early enough because she's out or has been out.
She's so cute. She's this little Spanish lady and making her tortillas that are amazing.
I'm pretty sure she's from Mexico.
Okay, well,
she speaks Spanish.
Okay.
Which you didn't want to sound racist?
I don't think that sounds racist.
No, that's where she's from.
Okay. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think they make
Spanish. I mean, Spanish.
They don't make
speaking.
tortillas
I didn't want
in
to
Spain.
make. They might. No, they don't. They make paella in Spain, which is awesome.
We're from the South.
Okay.
Our geography down here is lacking.
We understand fried chicken. Anyway, we should just move into the show from that. We understand butter and green beans
and lard.
Anything fried. Like you fry it, we will eat it. Whether it's like a green vegetable like okra or whether it's like an Oreo. Like we understand fried food.
Oh, yeah. Deep fry it. We're good to go down here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with that, let's segue into what we're talking about today. Kind of like an awkward segue.
Yeah, we took some more listener questions. We've got a lot of listener questions. I was actually surprised how many have come in.
I know. I like answering questions because I like to talk about things that are actually on people's minds that people are thinking about.
Yeah.
Because if one person's thinking about them, other people are thinking about them. And they're things we've also dealt with in our businesses. So I like this.
And I think this is going to make an interesting discussion because of the relationship that you and I have with each other.
Yeah, let me read the question so people can get on board with it. So this is Steven's question. Steven says, how do you get acceptance from your partner that going it alone is the best way to go? That's a good question.
So let's make some assumptions that Steven is talking about his significant other and he is working a job now and is talking about striking it out on his own, which involves quitting a job. That's what I took from that.
That's what I took from that as well.
Well,
if Steven wants to clarify in anher episode, great. But we're
going to go with that. That's a common thing that you're a person with a dream of self-employment and you've been bringing home the bread via a job for a while, and that's what your partner signed on for. But it's kind of scary to change that, especially if you're a partner and you're not in control of the situation.
Did you have a partner at the time when you quit your job years and years ago that you had to explain this to?
No, I had to explain it to everybody else, though, like my parents.
Yeah, that was the same with me, is I didn't have a partner to say yay or nay to what I wanted to do. That's the glory of being single sometimes.
Yeah, you just do whatever you want to.
You just do whatever you want and you go with it. But when you have a partner or you have a family, it's something you have to work with them, I would say.
Well, with that said, I think any business decision you make, not just quitting your job, there are a few steps that you have to go through, because you do have other people in your household. You do have people that are counting on you and your income for their own livelihood and comfort. So let's go through what we would do in this kind of situation. What's the first thing you would do, Laurel?
Well, the first thing I would do is communicate to your partner what's going on. Because 9 times out of 10, unless you have the wrong partner, which I have had in the past, they want you to be happy. Like, they genuinely want you to be happy. So I think you just have to communicate to them that you do want to quit your job and you do want to either start or grow your business. And keep in mind that this might be the very first time that they're hearing about it if you haven't told them before. And the first time that anyone hears about anything, it can be kind of a shock. So I would say just understand that this might have been going on in your head for a really long time. And if this is the first time they've heard about it, you just got to give it a little bit of time. But really communicate to them your desire and what you want to do and why you want to do it.
With that said, I think that if you have an in-tune partner, he or she will have seen that you're miserable. And you asked if I had a partner when I quit my job. When I finally quit, no. Now, I was seeing somebody else when I was making various attempts prior to that. And she told me one time, she goes, "Man, you are just miserable." And it wasn't really quite in those words, but it's like, you're being a jerk. You're pissed all the time. And she could see how it was affecting me. She didn't really give me any solutions. I don't think it was just in her vocabulary, if you will, to know that quitting would have been good for me. I didn't really quite understand how it was going to work. I mean, I just knew that where I wasn't going to be good. So I think that most significant relationships, your partner is probably going to see your misery. They might not have it in their vocabulary to think that you can strike out on your own. They might not know it's possible just because they've never seen it before. But I think opening up the discussion, even if you're not saying like, "Hey, I want to quit my job," you're saying, "Hey, I'm miserable where I am. Let's talk about options because I can't live my life like this." That would be a good start.
I think that's a great start. And I think also listen, like once you tell your partner, listen to them, listen to their concerns, because they're going to have a lot of fears that are going to come up, especially if this is the first time they're hearing about it. Are we going to be safe? Are we going to be able to put food on the table, afford the mortgage?
If you got
all
kids,
of these things.
Then it can get real complicated.
It's a different level than you and I were in when we were single and we were quitting our job. So just don't do all the talking. I'd say have a heart-to-heart chat. So say what you want to say, but really listen to them and make note of their concerns. Don't brush them off because they have real concerns. And even if just don't write them off, I guess is what I'm saying from the very beginning. Listen to them, address them. It's something that's going to take some time. It's not necessarily just a one-time conversation.
The last significant relationship I had when I was still working a job, and I didn't keep jobs for very long, but one of the reasons I feel like it failed was because she just didn't get it, and we weren't a match because of that. So I think it's worth saying, and this is really scary, but it's something to kind of just warn you about, that your path as being a self-employed person or an entrepreneur, if you like to use that word, it may mean separation from your partner, because it's not necessarily what the other person signed on for, and it's a very scary life, and there's some lean times. Even for those people that have been doing it for a while, there are ups and downs that you have to ride, and we talk about that here on Red Podcast. But it's not going to be for everybody. If somebody's looking for a really stable life, for some reason they think of that with jobs or working for somebody else. We all know that that's not that stable because you can always get fired. But still, a lot of people feel that way, and if the relationship is really, really important to you, just be aware that you might have to navigate that a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had to break up with somebody because they didn't understand my need to be a business owner. And that can happen. And I've seen several business owners have to either get a divorce or break up with their partner or just leave whatever relationship that they're in because the other person didn't get it. And that doesn't always happen. I mean, a lot of partners are really on board and really supportive, and I've talked to those people too, but sometimes you just have to let go of the person that you're with to become the person that you want to become.
And the opposite is true. I don't think that I could be with somebody who wasn't doing some form of self-employment because they wouldn't understand me. Mm-hmm. So the opposite is true as well. Laurel, one of the reasons that I think you and I get along so well is I understand, you're in the middle of writing a book. We've mentioned that here on the podcast before. I get it when you've got writer's block or when you're exhausted. You've been writing just today. How long have you been? You're in the chair
at least
probably
like 6 hours.
5 or 6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. And I can understand that you might be a little tired today because of that. Whereas somebody might say, what the hell? You just been sitting there.
I know.
Not knowing how much mental energy that it takes.
I asked you before we hit record on this podcast if they had a chipper setting on Audacity to make me sound more chipper. Because I'm like, I have been in this chair all day long.
All day.
But you get it. You understand that because you've written several books yourself and you've been in the trenches before.
And I haven't even been around all day. It's worth saying. I hit the gym. I had a business lunch.
You're living this life of leisure while I'm like chained to my office chair. It's like, ooh, I'm living this life of freedom in front of my computer writing this book. It's hilarious.
I'm off getting massages.
I know.
Yeah, it's bad news. But it's worth saying you're getting ready to go on vacation this week as well.
I am. I'm going to the mountains.
You're going to the mountains. You'll be on for about 5 days in the mountains.
And I'm not taking you.
You're not taking me, and I'm fine with that.
Somebody's got to hold down the red fort.
That's an understanding that I'm not sure somebody would get because they're not in it. So anyway, just if you've already got somebody, the first step is going to be to have that talk and to better understand them. And if nothing else, it's going to make your relationship better. Not that we're relationship experts.
We could be. That'll be our next thing.
No, I don't know. No.
Well, just getting on the same page with your partner, sharing your feelings with them. And I mean, even when I wanted to write a book, I said, David, I want to write a book. It's going to take a lot of effort. This is what it's going to be like. And we got on the same page with it. So it doesn't, this whole process doesn't necessarily just apply to when you want to quit your job, but it's when you want to go into anything that's different than what you're doing, business related. So I think that's the first one. I think the second one is you have to believe in yourself. And you have to treat your business like a business and not like a hobby. And those two things, I think, go hand in hand. I mean, I couldn't go up to you and be like, well, David, I kind of want to write a book. And I'm not very excited about it, but I think I should do it.
Because if you don't believe in it, I'm not going to believe you.
You're not going to believe me. So you have to believe in yourself and in your business and in this lifestyle that you want to have to get your partner to believe you at all. I mean, that's critical. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to take full responsibility for whatever it is that you're doing. And I think that's the difference between somebody that works for themselves as opposed to somebody who works for somebody else. Now, a lot of great workers out there that take full responsibility, but that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned as a self-employed person. It was that, I alone am responsible for the money that I make, and I can't just show up, call it work, and still collect a check. Because you can do that at most jobs. You just show up.
You don't get paid to show up.
Yeah, you don't get paid to show up when you're doing your own thing. You actually have to work, actually have to provide value. So I think you have to take complete responsibility. That's also very, very inspiring, though, to take complete responsibility. And I think that it's nice to see somebody say, if this thing fails, it's going to fail. But I take responsibility, and we will work that out when it fails. But until then, we're going to go balls out ahead and I'm going to take responsibility for making sure that's